Welcome to Rasoi Quarantine. So here we are, cooking together again. Another of my family favorites. It's crispy chicken. It is a dish which my family enjoys to eat. My boys love to eat. It's basically chicken in a batter and deep fried till it is crisp. There's nothing about it which is you will not enjoy. It is such an easy, simple eating dish. I am using chicken breast here. But in the past, I've also used chicken drumsticks. You know, it works well when you fry the chicken drumstick. You hold them in your hand and you bite into it. I think it's quite nice. You can use chicken wings also. You can use chicken thighs. But during quarantine, this is what I have. I have chicken breast, and that is what I have used. If you are a vegetarian, you would use a paneer, cauliflower, broccoli, baby corn, or asparagus. Any firm vegetable works perfectly fine. This dish I had actually picked up during my show in Twist of Taste during my traveling in India, and I used the batter in a very different dish, and I always found that the batter actually works very well for me because it becomes extra crispy. It's quite nice, you know, when you have something fried and crispy, and when you bite into the crunch, it is actually a nice mouthfeel. It tastes very nice, and the batter was very unusual. The flour which I have used here is besan or chickpea flour and corn flour. So I use these two flours to make the dish. But at home, if you don't have besan, you can also use plain flour, or you can also use rice flour. The option is entirely yours. And like I said, if you're vegetarian, skip the chicken and put the veggies. It will work perfectly fine. You know, onion rings, for example, work extremely well. Coat them and deep fry them, they're brilliant. The trick is getting the batter right and getting the mix right. And normally for this dish, you use a buttermilk, but we don't have a buttermilk at home. So what I'm going to use a yogurt as a substitute. I'm going to make a very savory thin lassi, which will mock a buttermilk. You can also use milk as a base if you want, but I'm using a yogurt here because yogurt has got its own natural sourness. It works quite well. So I've taken around 100 grams of yogurt. I'll whisk it up. It is a bit sour, but I want it to be a bit more khatta, a bit more sour. So I'm going to add half a tablespoon of lemon juice, literally half teaspoon of red chili powder, a little ajwain. Ajwain tastes very nice with pakoras or fritters when you deep fry them. It gives a very nice taste to it, very North Indian style. If you have any dried herbs at home, you can also use those, perfectly fine. You can also add a crushed black peppercorn. If you want to put curry patta, you can put curry patta into it, chop it up, put it all inside. It gives a very nice flavor to the dish. Salt extremely important. Without salt, there is absolutely no flavor. So I'm going to add a generous amount of salt. Whisk it all together. And in this, I'm going to add water. You can add milk if you want. I like to keep it very simple with water. So approximately 400 ml of water, and you make a very light, thin liquid. Not thick, just a running liquid. And in this, I'm going to add in chicken. I've got half a kilo of chicken breast cut into thin strips. I'm going to add that in. Steep it all. Let the chicken steep into the yogurt and the water mixture with the spices. In an ideal world, I would leave that for a good 30 to 35 minutes for it to rest in and to absorb all the flavors. Normally when you do a batter fried chicken or a crispy chicken, you put it into a batter and then you deep fry it and it becomes nice and crispy. But here the difference is I am not going to use a batter, I'm going to use a dry flour. So I've got besan, I've got corn flour. The corn flour gives it the crispiness. So when you coat the chicken with this mixture, it gives a very nice crispy finish at the end. Salt, seasoning is very important at this stage because that's what is going to stick to the chicken. So all the flavors come through the powders, and chili powder. Now it's lockdown time. I don't have many ingredients. Otherwise, I could have also put in chopped coriander. I could have put in some fresh herbs. I could have put in fennel seeds. I could have put curry leaves. Anything which you want can be added now. Now this powder has to be gently mixed together. You don't need to add any baking powder or baking soda or anything else. It is just plain simple besan, corn flour, salt and chili powder. All that is mixed together. I was very fortunate when we traveled to India for a show of Twist of Taste. This dish was being cooked with something else, and I love the idea and the technique of mixing the flours and flavoring the flour and then deep frying and making a very crispy coating outside. And at home, normally I will use a chicken drumstick, but since I don't have the drumstick now, I used a chicken breast. You can use a chicken thigh, it works well. You can use chicken wings, it will also work extremely well. And like I said, for vegetarians, you can have paneer or halloumi cheese or any firm vegetable. So, things like peppercorn, asparagus, onion, sliced onion rings, thick slices works well. Broccoli works well. Okay, now this is an important trick. I've kept an pan of oil to get hot. At the same time, one hand has to be moist to pick up the chicken and one hand has to be dry with just a crumb or dust with the flour. So, like I said, in ideal world, I would leave it for a good 30 minutes for it to soak in. So quickly I'm going to do a few. So when you have both the hands, one wet and one dry, you don't put the wet hand into the dry mix. With the hand which has the dry flour, you just lightly toss the pieces of chicken into the flour. So your hand doesn't get moist. The flour doesn't become lumpy. So if you have a family at home and your kids want to help you at home, this is a great thing to have to actually cook together. It's always nice to have your young family members in the home to help out, because it is a good interaction for them. We are all sitting at home the whole day. There are things we can do all together, things we can't, and cooking as such is good fun. You basically spend time together. You also tend to bond together during such times. See how easy is that? Cooking has to be fun, cooking has to be easy. I think never try to make it too complicated. Try to make it as simple as you can. And because it's a lockdown, we have all limited resources right now. So try and do things which are available around you. You make life easier. We can't go out and get all the things that we need. So utilize what you have. And the most important thing is cook with things which your family likes to eat. That is the main key. In they go. Look at that. As soon as you put it into your pan, you get such a nice sizzling sound. Because these are thin slices of chicken breast, or thin strips rather, they cook quite fast. And I promise you, they are so tender and juicy on the inside and crispy on the outside. The aroma of the besan being cooked, being fried, it's very nice. I love pakoras. I'm very biased to having pakoras. In fact, who doesn't like pakoras? Everybody likes a fritter or a pakora. Okay, look at that. Beautiful golden color. You see that? Again, when you're frying it, do not keep the oil very hot. Keep on a medium heat and let it gently cook in the oil. What will also be nice if you have just boiled potatoes at home. You can cut them into long strips or thin slices, dust them in the flour and just deep fry it. But it's very important that the flour actually has a flavoring, and that's why you put a lot of salt in them and a lot of chili powder in the salt to add flavor to the flour. Okay, we will get this chicken out of the oil, and I've kept a chopping board with some absorbing paper. This is very important because you don't want to eat and you will find that it's very oily and greasy. So the absorbing paper absorbs a lot of the oil. When you feel this, you can feel the crispiness. So just fry it a little more. few more pieces here. This is going to be a treat for the boys for this afternoon. Tea time snacks. Now what I also have here is something quite important. This is a smoked paprika. So if you don't have smoked paprika, you can also use chili powder, works perfectly fine. In that I wanted chaat masala and little bit of roasted cumin, which have been crushed and powdered, all mixed together. So the chaat masala, the cumin and the smoked paprika, all the chili powder works very well. This is important because this will be the dusting on the chicken and will give a very nice flavor. Now if you have curry leaves, you can even fry curry leaves, you can crush it, you can put them on top, or you can put in some crushed black pepper, or you can throw in a little bit of dried herb, it works well. So there we go. Just mix them together. And it's important when you serve that, to take a little bit of effort. I have a wooden basket, cake basket, you can use a little bowl. They have butter paper or greaseproof paper at home. Normally in a restaurant we have like a newspaper which is laminated and with a foolproof which we serve. But at home you can use a brown paper or a butter paper. And the best is, how you get it on the roadside. You get a little piece of paper all crumpled up. So try and give that feel. Crumple the paper. Put your paper in the basket. I've got some homemade tomato chutney. The chutney goes in there. And your crispy chicken. And a little more of our spice mix. And there you are. That's your crisp buttermilk chicken with homemade tomato chutney. Make sure you cook it at home, share it with your friends, post it, and don't forget to tag me.